person. All these, they direct us towards the ultimate goal of life, which is communion with God. So we need not, in fact, we should not ignore the lower dimensions of love or despise our desires and feelings. Rather than rejecting them, we need to integrate them into love's basic movement towards God. When all of our affectivity, all of our bodily desires are integrated into our affirmation of the value of the person, our sensuality and feelings aren't left behind. They should not be left behind, but they become part of our journey to the absolute. It's precisely because it exists to be incorporated into such a journey that sexuality seems to promise an almost divine ecstasy of fulfillment. Like I had mentioned, God is the origin of sexuality. Again, I have visual effects here that would have helped you, but anyway. As the image of God, we are created in love for love. Love, therefore, is a fundamental and innate vocation of every human being. Love demands of man and woman total self-giving in the unity of body and spirit. Being male or female are gifts that complement each other. Through them, human sexuality is an integrating part of the concrete capacity for love, which God has inscribed in every man and woman. Are we okay?
Well, yeah, just.
Sorry? Are we all right?
Sister, please go ahead, please. Because let me stay from the other point he said.
Okay. In other words, love, our own spiritual DNA as the image of God, demands of man and woman a total self-giving, body, soul, and spirit to one another, especially in marriage. Their sexuality, thus, is an essential living out of such commitments to themselves, the family, and society. The human body, as I said before, with its masculinity and femininity, holds the capacity of expressing love. The love precisely in which a man or woman becomes a gift, and by means of this gift fulfills the very meaning of his or her being and existence. So every form of human love will always involve our sexuality, and that is a design of God. An important aspect of the good of human sexuality is a sexual drive, the urge that powerfully attracts a man or woman to desire another opposite sex in an intimate relationship. Remember, this too is designed by God, and so it is good. It is very, very good. And so let us now look at a more visible, maybe practical implications of what is sexuality, of human sexuality, love and human sexuality. First, and this is the biophysical. When we say bio, we know what we are referring to. Biology. Physical, we know what we can touch and see and feel. First of all, sexuality and genitality. Any difference? Again, I would have loved to hear from you, but unfortunately, it's not possible. Well, we know that we have already said a lot about human sexuality, the whole of the person, but many people mix it up with genitality. Many people. Our sexuality is right from when we are conceived. We get chromosomes from our father and our mother. Our father would have X and Y, our mother has X and X. If our father gives us X, our mother gives X, we are female. And if our father gives us his Y and our mother gives her X, we are male. So what what happens in many cultures, that if a woman has girls only, she's blamed and castigated. It's wrong. In fact, it's unfair, it's injustice. Because if any human being determines the sex of the baby, actually, it's the man, because he's the one that gives what makes the difference. I hope in your teaching, you'll be able to communicate this to the people around you. Therefore, sexuality is more than genitality, which is only the biological bodily appearance of sexuality. The genitals are just biological bodily appearance of sexuality. They are just part of it. Genitality is therefore a component of sexuality and should never be confused with nor equated to sexuality. The whole of a man or woman cannot be reduced to their genitals. That's not possible. Being masculine or feminine reflects not just in the physical appearance, including the genitals, but also in the emotional, mental, psychological, and spiritual components of the person. In fact, a lot of evidence now exists that say even intellectually, men and women can be differentiated. So sexuality is innate to the whole person, whereas genitality is just part of them. Sexuality characterizes man and woman not only on the physical level, like I said before, but leaves its mark on each of their expressions, bodily expressions. Such diversity linked to the complementarity of the two sexes allows thorough response to the design of God according to the vocation to which each one is called. From truth and meaning of human sexuality. So our sexuality, God has designed in such a way that we can respond to whichever state of life God is calling us. Now, let's look at the anthropological approach of human sexuality. And when we say anthropology, you know what we mean. The study of what makes us human, our values and cultures, all that. So being masculine or feminine reflects not just in the physical appearance, like I said before, but everywhere. Sexuality is a fact and it's a gift. It is a combination of aspects which make up the human person in the unity of body and mind and configures it as a man or woman. It is the expression of the totality of the person. Their manners of feeling, loving, reacting are different and complementary. It is rooted in every cell of the body and brain. I have something here that will help you to understand, in the anthropology. The man has a gift of concentration. And, a man cannot do more than one thing at a time. He just concentrates on one, and he does it very, very well. Even in his own thinking, even in his vision, in his seeing, he looks straight and he sees straight. But a woman has a gift of multiplicity, can do several things at a time. You can also see things. A woman kind of looks around, up and down, turns things around. And this is where I feel that couples who make decisions, maybe man makes decision, woman makes decision, they don't sit down to think, to discuss, and think things over before they make decisions. They are poorer, all the poorer for that. But each sex is given its own gifts to bring together so that they can complement one another for better living. Sexuality is also a task in this anthropology. It is the inner dynamism, creative and integrative of the human person within the self, with the other, and with society, and with God, which energy is born and nourished by love, and whose guide is the virtue of chastity in the exercise of total liberty. Total, true liberty now, not liberty as the world sees it. We'll be discussing this further in the study. For now, we'll take a look at the goodness, the truth, beauty, and purpose of human sexuality. We know that the human person exists at two levels, spiritual and corporal, that is spirit and body. But also between them, at the center of them, we have the psychological. And it's, looking at the thing I have here, you think the human person exists in 3 levels, but no. But we function at 3 levels. We function at 3 levels. At our being, the spiritual, the intelligence, and the will, the knowledge is there. And then the corporal, the acting, the doing, the skills, they are there. And like I said, in between, we have the emotions, the impulses, the sentiments. And when we act, it's also at this triple level action, triple level. We act at the spiritual. That is when we are fully integrated, of course. We act at the psychological and then the corporal. I mean, before we act, our action should flow through these actions, through these levels. For example, something is going on and I have to respond. I need to know, fully understand. Even if I don't fully understand, I need to know a good bit of what that is, the implications of whatever. And then psychologically, knowing, because I want what is good for people and for people I love and also for myself, yes. So I need to know logically what is good and make a choice for that thing that I know that is good. That's psychologically. Make a decision based on that and then act corporally, my body. I act based on what I know, on the decision I have made, on the choice I have made. So one of the purposes of our human sexuality or our human being, our development really, is to integrate fully our human sexuality to its purpose. And we cannot integrate unless we understand all these 3 levels. There are 2 levels of being and there are 3 levels of action. So now, the purpose of human sexuality. One of our tasks as mature human beings is to master our sexual drive so that the energy is directed, because it has a lot of energy, is directed towards creating life and honoring God's own image. The virtue of chastity, inspired by prayer and aided by sexual self-mastery, self-continence, therefore, is a great resource for integrating fully our human sexuality. The purpose of human sexuality is actually to love, to live out love fully. And we say here that total gift of oneself to another. That's what we are referring to here. And this purpose of love, we live it out through marriage between man and woman or through celibacy or virginity for the sake of the kingdom. And we all know, we are called to marriage, we are called to celibacy or virginity. Even if you're not called to religious life or priesthood, single life is still celibacy. I mean, you don't marry. Sexual intercourse belongs to marriage alone, only marriage. So if you are not married, you are called to celibacy. And all of them, whether it's through marriage or through celibacy, will lead to fruitfulness, to life. Love always ends in fruitfulness and life. So whichever way we want to live it out, we live it out through our human sexuality. It's the gift of love that will bring about fruitfulness and life. Whatever way we live it. We honor the purposes of human sexuality, which is love, to affirm love, unites husband and wife, to give life, procreate, and to image God in marriage. This is also in celibacy and in chastity. We image God through our human sexuality. Of course, I've referred to virginity or celibacy for the sake of the kingdom as a way to love. It's not a no to marriage, but it's a yes to love. Celibacy is not a rejection of sexuality and our call to union. No, it actually points to their ultimate fulfillment. Those who sacrifice marriage for the sake of the kingdom do so in order to devote all of their energies and desires to the marriage that alone can satisfy, the marriage of Christ and the church. By doing so, celibate men and women declare to the world that the kingdom of God is real and is here. And to the married people then, the ultimate experience of the body and sex is within marriage. The ultimate experience of the body and sex, not just love and sexuality, is within that marriage. As a sacrament, marriage is only an earthly sign of the heavenly reality. We no longer need signs to point us to heaven when we're in heaven, because we shall be consummated with the Lamb. So I think I'm told 8:45, and it's almost gone past 8:45 now. Do we have any questions? Am I even making sense to you?
Yes, fine. Yes, sister, you are
Hello?
making sense to us.
Well, I'm told to stop at 8:45, and I think it's past 8:45 now.
Okay. Yeah.
Any questions anyway? I'm so sorry that
sister,
you don't have this. Yeah.
Sister, let me ask this question. You just a few seconds ago that celibacy is not a no to marriage, but for the sake of the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to understand that. When you already say, I'm thinking that your celibacy should be a no to marriage because of the sake of the kingdom. That's why you now say no to marriage, and not that is not a no. It's just that word, not a no to marriage, is
okay,
what I'm confused.
Maybe semantics. Celibacy, some people, for example, let me tell you now, if you you're a man, if you want to join a religious community or you want to go to the seminar and you tell them I'm coming because I don't want to get married, nobody will take you. Okay, we're not in religious life because we hate marriage. No, we do not hate marriage, but there's a higher love. Let me just put it that way. It's a yes to a higher love. We're not saying no to marriage. It doesn't mean that we're going to get married. No, if that's what you're thinking, no. We don't reject, we don't despise, we don't do what else again to marriage, but there's something higher that we are called to and we responded to. I don't know whether that makes sense to you.
Yes, sister, you answered it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other question? Is Father Tadeo still there?
Sure. I'm here, sister.
Okay, you told me to stop 8:45.
Exactly. So
it's past 8:45.
The idea is that when you stop 8:45, we use 15 minutes for question, comments, and end by 9 p.m.
All right. So please, any other question, or should I ask?
Sister, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah, I want to. That's wonderful anyway. Well done. You said something about liberty.
Yes.
As the world sees it. Can you throw light to it? Because sometimes when couples come for, I've met some couple that are having problem with that. The man has said the woman is behaving, her liberty is extensive and clinical. So can you throw light on that?
Okay, sister, I would love to answer that your question, but it will be preempting what we are doing tomorrow. But what I mean really by liberty, according to the sense of the world, you know that right now there's this there's people who say, I am free to do anything with my body. It's my body. Okay? It's my body. I can abort a child. I can do this. I can do that. It's my body. Nobody can tell me what to do or what not to do with my body. So that is what we mean. But liberty really is when we understand who we are as human beings and we love, and we know that, you know, God himself is the one we serve and we are responsible to, and that God loves everybody. So we do things to honor people, to help them, to do whatever needs to be done. And that is the liberty that I'm talking about, not I do anything I like because I am free. I can drive on the left side of the road, even when I'm not supposed to drive on the left side of the road. When the light is red, I can drive because it's a free world. That's not liberty. But when we get to know ourselves, sexual human beings who are meant to love and to be loved, yes, we begin to live in true liberty. Welcome. Welcome. Once again, my apologies for what happened yesterday. We thank God for today. So I had hoped that you would have seen the slides before now, but it's okay. Can you see the slide on the screen?
We can see it.
That's where we stopped yesterday. In fact, this is where we stopped yesterday. So yesterday we talked about, you know, what is love, what is human sexuality, what is the purpose of human sexuality.
So
And
you
I
can
think
put it on slideshow so it can be bolder. You can put it on slideshow.
Further, I'm just summarizing yesterday's own, and then I'll start today. Please, because of time. We were able to say that love is the ability to make a conscious choice, an informed choice for the well-being of another person. And we said that human sexuality is all that I am as a man or as a woman in every aspect of life. And, you know, it shows right from the conception. And that's how we are until we die. And we say that our human sexuality is mainly for the purpose of living out fully love. And we focused on marriage. I mean, I mentioned something about sexuality in general, but we focused on marriage. And so the slide that's here now, we're talking of the ultimate experience of the body and sex, which is part of the purpose of our human sexuality in marriage. Of course, I did mention that God has created us, men and women, and we respond to whatever set of life He called us to as sexual beings. So we remain on marriage. I would say that when you get there, because this laptop I'm using is not mine, I'm not used to it. I'm just trying to manage it. So I don't want to do too much movement, please. So we continue marriage. We say that the ultimate experience of the body and sex is in marriage, in the sexual union between a man and a woman. And this marriage is a sacrament, the only earthly sign of the heavenly reality. And I just have a few symbols here to kind of illustrate the kind of dignity and honor that we give to that unique, the only thing unique among married people. Something, no matter what, you cannot do, no matter how you love your sister, your brother, your whatever, you cannot do. This is only unique in marriage, and that's the sexual union. And in the church, for us, it is a sacred thing, it's a holy thing, it is a gift, and we honor it. The symbol you see in the slide, you can see how the two hands are carrying the three circles, golden circles, husband and wife, and who? God, the origin of sexuality, the one who created marriage, and the one who gives sexual union as a gift to the couple for the purpose of uniting themselves and also procreation. So it is holy. Am I pressing on the wrong one? I'm trying to move to the next slide. I have to go here. Marital and Eucharistic union, communion. Yesterday, when we were talking about the nature of God and the nature of human being, in trying to describe how we are image of God, one of the common things that came out very strongly is communion. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in communion, that also we are called to communion, not only just, in marriage, which is, yes, very ultimate communion, where husband and wife unite to become one. But also that every Catholic, but also every human being who choose to, that we have that opportunity and privilege to also be in full communion in the Eucharist. But more on husband and wife, that husband and wife, the free, this is okay me. The free and total laying down of their body exclusively for each other is a true symbol in the church of Christ laying down of himself for his bride, the church. In fact, I would think that married people should see themselves as privileged people to be able, something that is common to them, that's unique to them, is what we are using to say this is how Christ lays down his life for his bride, the church. And if they have this in mind, I think they will hold their communion, especially their sexual communion, in honor. Again, the same thing here. Eucharist, this is my body given for you. Human marriage in sexual union, they give their body to each other. I have a symbol of the crucifix there because, it's impossible to talk about union, communion, love without talking about the cross. In fact, I think as we live longer, we begin to realize how Christ said, if you want to be my follower, you must carry your cross and follow me. Cross is always the way to glory. So people in marriage, like I tell people who come to me, it is a sharing. Your life is a sharing. The difficulties, the challenges, whatever it is, it's a sharing in the cross of Christ. And somehow, I know not many people will celebrate carrying cross, but somehow it's still a privilege and an honor. So also, the difficulties we face in sexual union, in marriage, we can also take it as the cross that's carry. So human sexuality, I need these things to go out. Okay, there. Okay. Okay. Human sexuality is not only a gift, but also a good. That came out strongly yesterday. It is part of that creation which God saw as being very good when he created man in his image and likeness, man and woman, of course. An important aspect of that good, though, is the sexual drive, the urge that powerfully attracts a man or woman to desire another opposite sex in an intimate relationship. Hence, the need for integration. I hope that came clear yesterday also. That part of learning this whole thing of love and human sexuality is to be able to grow and integrate. You know, we say the human person exists as body and spirit, but we also act at 3 levels: spirit, the psychological, as well as spiritual, psychological, as well as bodily. And the whole idea of learning this is to make us, to help us to begin to integrate the spiritual, logical, and the bodily. That when we act, we're acting as one, not because my body is feeling somehow, so I act this way, because my heart is feeling somehow, so I act the other way. No, it's that whole thing of integration. And that is what's actually helping, when we are teaching this whole thing of sexuality. It is people begin to learn to cultivate that attitude of integrating the spiritual, the psychological, and the bodily, acting as one unit. Sexuality, as we have also learned, is a fundamental component of the person. Therefore, every human being can only mature fully and live happily by fully integrating our sexuality as persons. As relational beings, our sexuality helps us relate well and be in communion with others in a way that promotes and affirms life in every state and vocation. This emphasizes the fact that, we must relate to people as human beings. We must not use people. In fact, in English language, I guess they say that the opposite of love is hate. But in this, the opposite of love, honestly, is not hate. It is use. When I say I love somebody, and yet I am using them for my sake, for what I feel is good for me. Using a human being as a recreational, as a way of recreating, using human beings. In short, so many ways of we're using human beings. So we're not loving them. But we need to help people. We need to learn and also help people to begin to integrate and learn to love and not to use. Through our sexuality, we relate to God, whether in prayer or other spiritual ways. God also relates to us through our sexuality as human beings. Uniquely, to identify with humanity, God himself took flesh in Jesus Christ, who not only came to us as man in history, but also left us his body and blood in the Eucharist, which we can see, feel, touch, relate with through our sexuality. And also his body, the church of which we are members. So these are all signs that God relates to us as sexual beings. This is going to be difficult. So this brings me specifically to that sexual union. What is it about? I have the symbol there, a bed, the marital bed, the marriage bed. What is so special about it? There's a program that I teach, and in that program, we call it the faithful house. The marriage bed is very, very symbolic. And I'm just sharing from that program here. As I said, I'm using a system that doesn't belong to me, so I'm needing help. Now, some views on marriage bed, briefly. The marriage bed is where couples sleep together and make love to each other. While people may be comfortable talking about anything and everything, especially in the house, they are not comfortable talking about their marriage bed and their sexual life. In fact, one of my own experiences in one of the countries, Malawi, one time I was there and I was teaching this, and there were sisters there. In fact, after they came to me, say, "Sister, how do you do this? That do people not talk about me after doing this?" Say, "Talk about me for what? People are grateful." Say they can't. But thank God, eventually they were able to learn and they were able to teach. I said, it's for the well-being of the couple. Just bear in mind that this is pastoral work. You're evangelizing. So couples also have problems, have issues talking about this, their sexual life. So we are trying to help them, encourage them, teach them how to communicate and talk about it. So their marriage bed is very, very important. If they construct their house well, and this house we are referring to now is their marriage house, not just the physical building, the marriage bed will be a special place for them. However, if they do not construct the house well, perhaps the house lacks a good foundation in God, because in that faithful house, God is the foundation. If it lacks the pillars of love or respect, or if there is not a deep loving awareness of God in each other, then the marriage bed will be troubled. And like Father, I think you did mention in your YouTube that a lot of the marriage counselors say most of the problems they have from married couples is from this. And that is the truth. So this is very, very vital and fundamental to happy marriage. The marriage bed holds a special place in your house. In fact, it is so special. We say it is placed on holy ground. It is placed on holy ground because when a couple makes love with each other, their union, they are becoming one flesh, is holy. What do we mean by this holiness? Sexual union is holy because a couple opens their bodies to create a child with God. They become co-creators with God. Sexual union is holy because the husband and wife affirm with their bodies the goodness of their spouses. They renew a deep loving awareness of God and of each other. Sexual union is holy because it is part of God's divine and sacramental plan for husband and wife, for their well-being, their happiness, their peace. The holiness of sexual union should make us pause. Many in our culture think of sex in casual, exterior terms, just something you can do anytime, anyhow. This attitude betrays the marriage bed and undervalues the interior dimension, the innermost dimension of sex, the essence of sex, that it is to be holy and to be shared only between husband and wife, only within marriage, only until death do they part. A couple who enters the marriage bed with respect for each other's dignity, remember, choice for love, and with an understanding of the goodness of their bodies and the sacramental nature of marriage, should be open to discussing their sexual lives. They should not hide what may be troubling them. For example, a wife may find that she's too tired for sex because she gets little help or support from her husband in caring for the children. And that's an issue that should be brought up and talked about. She should discuss it. Perhaps a woman or man may find that she or he is not sexually satisfied. The man cannot keep an erection. Or a woman may say she cannot have an orgasm. And again, a lot of clergy when it comes to this, blame women. Say women did this and women did that. Women, in fact, Father was saying also, and I said it here also, do not weaponize sex. But I know the reason why when women reach menopause or when they have had a number of children, they are no longer interested. It's not just for, I don't know, it's not just for, they don't like their husband or whatever. There is reason for it. If a woman during her marriage time is not having orgasm, it means she's not enjoying sex. And that should be discussed with the husband. They should find out. We even have counselors now or therapists who can help couples in this area. So other problem areas include poor communication, high expectations from the spouse, or comparisons to previous partners' experiences before marriage even. While it may be difficult to talk about these things, a couple, knowing that their bodies are good and their union together is good, and trusting in God, should discuss such issues if they arise or when they arise. There are more barriers, to successful marital intercourse. There's lack of respect, again, for your spouse. Again, we know that respect, when we talk about respect, respect is very, very important to men. It's also important to women. But there is a basic thing about respect that people don't understand. It's reciprocal. Anyhow, that's poor communication, as mentioned before. Keeping secrets from each other, living falsehood. Many couples keep secrets from each other. It's not only just about money, other secrets. Unforgiveness, holding grudge against your spouse. Now, if sexual union is meant to be uniting these two people, and there is something I have in mind against my husband, it's impossible to unite. It's just not possible. Abuse of bodies, for example, contraception or pornography, which is very, very high, even among Christians. Past and unacknowledged hurts. Myths. We have so many myths in our tradition and life-sapping traditions and cultures. Of course, fear of pregnancy. Hence, we preach natural family planning. Greed and selfishness. I mean, the list just continues. Overcoming these challenges is not easy, but it is possible. It is just helping couples to learn to negotiate and appreciate the God-given gift. Yes, please.
I'm talking from the experiences I have from the couples when I'm working with them. I'm happy to see the invitation, the preparation. I'm not kind of siding women, but I want to share their experiences. Sister, sometimes we are treated as if we are just nobody. It's part of preparation. Maybe the woman is not ready, because especially when we are doing what do you call it, premenopause, and what do you call it, breastfeeding, because these are the two times couples have challenges with the dryness of their body. And how important it is that gentle invitation, that preparation to make the woman ready, even if she doesn't feel like it. I get a lot of complaints from the women, the way the men go to them. Okay, it's just for me alone.
Exactly.
Just for me alone. And with that, maybe they're experiencing with the dryness of the body, they experience like as if they're being hurt. And that makes them to turn away. So I like the diagram. I just want to talk also a bit, to talk about this invitation and preparation. It's a unique holy space for the married couple, which one person shouldn't just think of himself or herself. It's an occasion for both of them. precious time for both of them, and therefore selfishness should not come into it. That's my comment from my experience of working with married couples. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's correct comment, appropriate. Now,
I raised my hand. I've raised my hand. Can I say something?
Yes, okay. You can go ahead.
Good morning, sister. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Father. From the diagram, it just takes my mind back to what we discussed yesterday about how the makeup of the two different sexes, the male and the female. And I'm just from also discussions and what you have here. When for the man is wired differently when it comes to sex and sexual intimacy. The woman is also wired differently from what I'm saying here. For the man, in his mind is just sex. Other things are peripheral, outside.
Exactly.
For the woman, it's all encompassing. For her, it's not an outside thing. For her, thinking about marital intimacy, she's also thinking about getting pregnant, the fear. For her, she's thinking about the bed making noise. She's thinking about the children. She's thinking about so many things within. For the man, it's just the sex drive and the intimacy alone.
It's not as if he's not aware of those things. So
it's not as if he's not aware. But they are not for him
at
that time. Yeah, they're not primary. But for the woman,
they're not important.
For the woman, every one of them is important. The man wouldn't care that the baby is knocking at the door, the children are outside. For the woman, she's concerned about it. And I think what it means is that, like that thing we discussed yesterday about how the different sexes are wired, is not just the genitality that makes us different. Even the way we process thoughts also makes us different. And I think this is another thing that we have to really elaborate when we're discussing sexuality and marriage. We are wired differently. And the more we understand it, the more we may come to appreciate each other's sexuality and nuances and see it less like the man is being selfish, because that's the way it appears. But it's because of how he is wired differently from the woman. Because we feel ordinary, most ladies, when we discuss sexuality and loving and everything, the women, the man doesn't even care that I am tired. He doesn't care that I've just finished my period and I'm having this pain or that. He just wants it. He doesn't think about me. But from what we've been discussing since yesterday and other readings I've done, it's not that he's selfish, but that is just how he has been created. So that's what I want to share. And something else I want to put on our list. Something I want to put on our list next time. Dirtiness.
Okay. I think I'll move on. I'll move on now.
I want to say something.
Okay.
I want to ask something. Okay. Yeah, it's not as if I like what they're saying, and what the last person explained goes a little to what I want to say. We may not blame these men as such because we are not teaching this before. Nobody, like when I do marriage program with them, pre-marriage, and even those who have been married before, when I start explaining GTPP, they will just be looking at me like a new thing. When you talk about orgasm, all these things, we won't blame them so much. You know that every healthy man at early hours of the morning has erection. So this is their nature, although it's not as if they will become dogs. There are women too who are insatiable. The husband will complain and say, "Sister, my wife is too round, no, they do." This type of a thing. So now we are teaching, we should take interest in teaching them this. I know that I tell them, I said 30 years ago, I can't with my mouth be mentioning sex. But because of the problem and the church has to teach our people, we are now teaching them. Please, let us explain this very well so that they will learn. Many of them don't, let us stop here. This GTPP is very important. Let them know it. Sister Maxine talked about it in Love and Life. So the idea we explain very well and let them understand it. It's a life of sacrifice. They should sacrifice. It's not always that the woman wants or the man wants. You can give in and look at each other with that pity and concern, knowing that it's not just 4 minutes. We went for a program in Lagos and they were talking about it. Okay, I want to say, the man said that the sex, the sperm is all over their body. That is only one they give a woman a carry 9 months. I want to die. Sorry. Yeah, I will stop. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So what we are saying now, in summary, is that it's important that we teach, it's important that we learn, it's important that we communicate, it's important that we encourage couples, we teach them how to communicate. What's written there is learn to negotiate and appreciate. Now, let me just say a few words about this. We use this, in our teaching. We refer to that sexual intimacy as a banquet. A banquet that the Lord has prepared these two for, husband and wife. But like it has been mentioned there now, for the man, he wants it anytime, any day. All these other things. It's not that he's not unaware of them. He's aware of them. But for him, this is number one. And for the wife, it's this other way. So there is no way these two people can have sex and it will be mutual satisfaction. It cannot be, because the woman is already not there. I mean, it'd be difficult for her even to get into the mood. So it would be for, if we are preparing a banquet, if we are planning if we are saying we're going to have a banquet, we need to plan. So we need to help husband and wife to learn how to plan. Their planning and discussion is going to include all these things that's worrying them, that's in their head. Men are not, I don't know how to put it. It's not as if they don't understand. It's not as if they don't want to help. But like you have already mentioned it, if they are helped to understand, they will understand. Because yes, they are wired that way, but they can also learn, okay? So in every banquet, we plan what we are going to cook, who we are going to invite, all those kind of things. And then there is the invitation. Husband and wife should not have to invite one another. I may have that slide here. I may not. But just, kind of saying some ways husband and wife can invite themselves to this banquet. It's not just something you come back from work and it's gone. No, there's invitation, there's preparation. I think the preparation slide is in this. And then there is the sex itself. After that, there should be evaluation. One of the things women say is, by the time it's finished, the man is snoring. They are wondering what has happened. And that's how they feel used. A woman feels used if she didn't get any satisfaction from this. That is why as soon as it's possible for them to say no, they will say no. So, evaluation is very important. Anyway, let me go ahead. There is a slide here, I think, about evaluation. Yeah, preparation. A couple must learn to prepare for the banquet in a manner pleasing for both spouses. This is where communication is important. And they must be honest with themselves. Well, if there is love, anyway, there should be honesty. Preparation involves bodily cleanliness. You need to clean up thoroughly. When you have these programs with women only, they would bring out these things and you would know. And when you have with men only, they will also be, in fact, yesterday I called the class head, if the groups can be men only, women only. Before he told me that they don't even have the logics for the groups. Anyway, brush your mouth and teeth, wash nose, earlobes, breasts, genital areas, vagina, penis, cut nails, shave unwanted hair or whiskers. Preparation involves preparing your soul. It's not just bodily. Look at what conflicts need to be resolved. And if a window of forgiveness must be opened, ask for God's grace to be pleasing and satisfying to one another. And you're not going to be the first person that did this. In the scripture, we know it's already done. Preparation involves the right time and right place. Be in a clean environment. Create a space where you can work together or sit together, bathe together, talk about the needs and desires of one another. Let there be emotional intimacy before genital intimacy. And this is, again, where there's a problem. Most times, because it takes a woman time for the emotions to rise. And the man, his own is just fire brigade like that. So, but two of them have to talk and reach a good compromise. This is also just helping in general, you know, for married people. I got this from somewhere, but I like using it. And you can see below there, personal, couple, and family prayer is very important. And also communication that strengthens their communion. Communication is very important. And again, in marriage classes, it's important that the couples are taught how to communicate. Communication is very difficult, but when people learn how to do it, and one thing that I know that helps couples a lot is the natural family planning. When they learn natural family planning, the communication becomes much easier for them. So I encourage it. There are some contemporary sexual, there are many, it's not some, contemporary sexual tensions, as we know. And there are, like I said, there are many. We're not going to talk about them all here. The culture of death and corruption of human mind vis-a-vis abuses, attacks on human sexuality, and impact on the society, including the church. In God's plan, the sexual urge and energy he gave to human beings is to be expressed appropriately within marriage alone. Our sexual urge and energy is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. While this energy is a great good given to us by God, it must be channeled properly and positively, or else it can become destructive. Honestly, in a country like, oh my God, what have I done? In a country like ours, where violence is everywhere, any little thing, in the bus station, on the road rage, and, all kinds of violence, a lot of this, trace it back. It just goes to improper channeling of our sexual power, the sexual drive. When it is properly channeled, it is wonderful. While this energy is a great good given to us by God, it must be properly channeled positively, or else it can become destructive, and it has been destructive. We know that. Used in promiscuity, in sexual coercion, including child sexual abuse and incest, rape, and other forms of violence, including domestic intimate partner violence. So these things are real. Sadly, this reality of God's plan has been badly distorted. An eclipse of the truth about man, which, among other things, exerts pressure to reduce sex to something commonplace. In this area, society and the mass media most of the time provide depersonalized, recreational, and often pessimistic information, including even things like advertisements. You see sex being just, I don't know. Moreover, this information does not take into account the different stages of formation. You can see what's going on in online. Different stages of formation and development of children, even in schools now. Some of the things they present as sex education, even in some Catholic schools, sadly. does not take into account different stages of formation and stages of age of a child and young people. It is influenced by a twisted individualistic concept of freedom. This is the freedom I was talking about yesterday. Do whatever you want. It's your body. You know, behave anyhow. You're a free man. But is that freedom? No. All this in an ambience lacking the basic values of life, human love, and the family. One of the things I am hoping that learning love and sexuality will help with is that people will be conversant and free to discuss some of these things among themselves. I'm still having an issue with this. Yeah, okay. I want to move the thing now. It just goes. No, I want more to come up. Okay.
Hey.
So these are some of the fallouts of the making commonplace sexual intercourse, that people think they can have multiple partners anytime. But this whole thing, let's just summarize this whole thing. You know, that it started with original sin, concupiscence. This whole thing of human beings, you know, wanting to be God and rejecting God. And down the line in the 60s, we have the sexual revolution, and that gave rise to contraceptive mentality and legalization of abortion in many countries, many areas, including countries like Ireland. And then you have the LGBTQ and the blessing of same-sex unions. I have a problem mentioning that. That seems to be. And you know, right now, there are people who are lobbying, who are strongly advocating for legalization of bestiality and pedophilia. Bestiality, that's, you know, that's how they are. Their nature is to have sex with animals. That's how they are. So who are you not to allow them? And also for children, there's something. So that is a vicious and endless cycle of distortion of human sexuality. And what do we do? This is where we are. Our society is here. I don't know. I hope you can read what's written in those things. That little girl kind of represents us, our society, humanity. At this point, we are traveling and we come to a crossroad. We are now at a crossroad in this century. We don't know where to go, and we don't even know who to ask. We don't ask the right people. She looks up and sees the cat up there and asks the cat, "Can you tell me the way to follow? Which way should I go?" And the cat said, "That depends on where you are going," which is true. And the poor girl said, "I don't know where I'm going." And that's exactly what the problem is with a lot of our parents today, a lot of our youth. Of course, parents cannot give what they don't have. They can't. Nobody can give what he or she doesn't have anyway. I don't know where I'm going. This is just putting it into words. What's going on? And of course, the response to her is, then anyway, it's good. Any road you take is good. And is that true? But that is the mentality now. Any road is good. It's freedom. Just go ahead. You're free to take any. And we are saying, no, that's not correct. It's not true. Any road is not good. We have a destination. The future of humanity. This is from Guardian Space, which was written in the 60s. The future of humanity is in the hands of those who know how to give the future generation reasons to live and reasons to hope. And this is the reality. Those who know how to give the young people, the future generation, and parents of today are part of this future generation, reasons to live and show them direction to go. Chike, this your thing is still a big problem. Oh. No, it's not the end. I want to go where this is. No. Yeah. Yeah. So, my dear friends, life and the world are changing, and yet we must be salt and light to the world. We must live and love to the full. That is a reality of our call. Life and the world can and must necessarily change. This is urgent. But by who? Whom shall I send? From research and from experience, these are the people. Like I keep saying, without the family, the society cannot move. Society cannot make a progress. It's a family. And who is the foundation of the family? The father and the mother, the married couple. So it's in the hands of couples striving for holiness, made manifest in their vibrant, exclusive, loving, free, faithful, and fruitful marital intimacy. They are the best creators of a happy family life. That is the foundation and best channel for effectively communicating the value of love, sexuality, and spirituality to their children, from among whom emerge priests and religious, as well as fervent, faithful, and passionate Catholic youths, Catholic men and Catholic women. So it's back to the couples. Only such couples can and will grow and prosper the whole church. Zealous in knowing God, fervent in worshiping Him, passionate in loving God, and thus they serve God in His church and the society with their talents, their time, their treasures. And at the end, hear the master say, "Come, you blessed of my Father, and enter His kingdom from when I was so. So, dear friends, this is where I was meant to end yesterday. I was meant to end yesterday, but unfortunately, I didn't reach here. So please just take a little pause, a short pause, before we start the next, while we change over to the next, and reflect on questions that you may have. Please now go to that other slide.
How many minutes? We need to rest more. The brain. We have some minutes to rest, though. I beg.
Sister Ziki, did you go to gym house today?
Pardon?
Did you go to farm work?
Father, I wish you know my condition. You won't ask me that question. Sorry.
Sister is not well. I didn't even expect her to be joining these classes.
So, Sister Dorothy,
Yeah.
I remember. Sorry about that. So, what you can do is maybe you take a walk and be listening to the program. That's what I'll advise.
Thank you.
Sister Kelechi, are you there? Sister Kelechi? Sister, are you there? Sister Kelechi?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are there questions? Hello?
Sister, I don't know whether it's a question or rather comments. You know, it's like saying in our culture, this is how men should behave. You know, yesterday we were just sharing. I'm in a Bonnie city in Abakaliki. We were just sharing. One doctor was sharing. Oh, when I grew up, my mother didn't want me to enter the kitchen. This is because that was for men. It's the wiring I'm coming back to now. I know that is how they are wired. And now we are talking of education, and all our concentration and energy are on the girls. This is how you will be so that you find a good husband. There is much emphasis on the men, on how they should groom themselves to find good wives. So, in the light of our learning, as people who are interested in family life, what can we do to educate our young boys? We are not just talking of girls, yes, me included. As the Ada in the family, I take a wrong step when I was growing up, my mother would kill me. Are you going to disgrace me? Are you going to, that is how I was brought up. Of course, it has helped me in religious life. But I believe time has come for us to also develop curriculum on how to educate our young men, not just that is culturally how you are wired.
Sister, let me not cut you short. What you're saying is correct. But I just want to let you know that there are programs already right now. There are programs. I have already mentioned one program that I normally teach. There are programs, at least we have Alive to the World, which is about young people. Young people, not just girls or boys. And parents are involved in that. We also have what called Teen Star. Teen Star, referring to teenage, and STAR, STAR, sexuality training, the context of adult responsibility. It's also for boys and girls, with parents also there. So there are programs, like what you said is correct, that we need to help our young boys. In fact, I was listening to a program, was it yesterday or the day before? They are talking about how do they put it? Children, adults who have the mind of children, men, husbands, they cannot have such people for husbands, Men grown up, yes, physically grown up, but in fact inside that they are children, and they cannot make good husbands, and that is very, very true. So it is a challenge, but like I said, the problem we have in the church is we have programs in the church, and I mean universal church. We have a lot of it, a lot of those. But it's to get people to access it is a problem. Like here in Nigeria, for example, the two programs I've mentioned, generally for children. But I'm trying to present them now to the Catholic Church of Nigeria. But if you don't bring people who are bringing money to teach those things, that's what the problem is. Already we have it in one or two dioceses. But, people here in Lagos, people that are listening to me who are in Lagos, they may have heard about the Teen Star. In fact, Lagos Archdiocese is already planning its own program there. So the programs are there. But it's for us to, I don't know, the dioceses.
Can I come in just briefly?
Yes.
This is Sister Eugenia. Thank you once again for all the discussions. What I want to call our mind to is that the foundational stage of development is where we need to really, really focus on. And that is birth to age 7, very critical. Most of my life, I've worked in the early years because that is where it really matters. And if we have to get our acts right to prepare better adolescents and better adults and better fathers and mothers, we have to go down to our early years. I know that Catholic schools have nursery primary schools. I know we have mothers in the church where we have Sunday schools and all of that. What are we doing with our early years level where the foundation for everything is built? What are we looking into the curriculum in our early years so that the mindset, the paradigms are being set towards what we want them to be in the future? Because age 0 to 7 is where the human being is formed. After
0
this
to
age,
5,
we
6
start
years.
preparing good men on 0 to 7. At times we push it to 8, early years, 0 to 8 years. When we look at the curriculum in schools, I worked like in Abuja, and we helped to revamp and change certain teachings, especially about family. You know, the school, the regular traditional topic is that family is made up of father, mother, children. And then we had children in classes that had issues. And they went home and told their mom, so I don't have a family. Because the mother was a single mother. They said, I don't have a daddy, so I don't have a family. We had to start reteaching teachers because we're living in a contemporary world where we have single mothers and we also have single fathers. So what are we teaching at that level? Then we also teach roles of people in families. And the role is the man pays the rent, the man brings the money, the man does this. What of families where the man is out of a job and the mother is the one providing?
Okay,
I've had
please.
situations women came and said, I know the man should pay. So when I pay the fees, please refund my money. Send my child out and let my husband refund. And I'm like, madam, why are you saying this? It's your family. Said, but the man should pay. Because that is what we have taught our girls for years. Those roles we have taught our boys for years. And those things we are teaching are now working against family. They are leading to divorce. When women become empowered in families, some of them can't understand that you're now the one equipped with this money, so help your family. That traditional thing we have taught them. The man must pay. The man must pay rent. The man must pay school fees. The man must
can we continue? Because Father Thaddeus will be telling me soon now that my
okay,
time
so I
is
want us
up.
to look at it. It's good to talk to
Sister,
the
my hand has been up for a very long time.
But let's go to the
What did you say?
early childhood stages. Thank you.
My hand has been up for very long.
Oh, sorry. The
Seeking
thing is,
your
I'm not
permission,
even
sir.
seeing hands. I'm not seeing hands.
So
Okay,
please permit me to
please,
talk.
a minute. Please try, eh? Because it's me, I can stay here all night too. But it's you people. I don't know. Father Thaddeus, I'm afraid of him. He will tell me now very
No,
soon.
please,
And I want to
just give me
finish.
30 seconds to say what I want to say before you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Somehow we tend to be deviating from the context of what we are treating. And secondly, I'm suggesting or appealing, if it is possible, that the slide you already exhausted, you could allow us to digress on it, as in allowing real life experience. We have a lot of individuals who are married for 25, 30 years here, both male and female. These issues you've raised, let them share their personal life experiences on these issues we already treated, so that we really have a live direct experience of what you have taught, rather than moving to another slide and just
No, this is part
like,
of what I'm teaching. No, this is part of it. It's not just another slide.
I know, but
so let's finish it and then we can bring out our experiences, because some of the things that are being said, we're going to also come across them here now. So let's just finish. Okay, give me just another half an hour and then we will open up the discussion. Am I okay? Hello?
Sister, go ahead.
But if you want me to stop here, I can stop. I have no problem. I mean,
No,
sister, go ahead. Let me
It's a poll.
Go ahead,
It's a poll. We have
sister.
not finished this. So we are now looking at cortical continence and chastity. And in a sense, this is a primary essential, one of the primary essential remedies for all that wahala we are talking about, both with sexual intimacy within marriage and also sexual intimacy in society. And there will be a little focus on men, I'm sorry, but you will understand. So, understanding our sexuality is key to cultivating sexual continence. And that's why we've been doing this since yesterday. We have a great need to understand our sexuality, and I hope at this point that has made sense. I know you are all experts in this, but we are hoping to remind you what you already knew. To know ourselves as man and as woman, as human persons made in the image and likeness of God, understanding our sexuality, our maleness as a man, our femaleness as a woman is essential. Our capacity to know, to love, and to act. We mentioned all that yesterday. What is continence? Continence may be considered to be a necessary aspect of life for a time, the life of a couple, where the couple, by choice and decision, will not unite their bodies physically. And, sexual intercourse. This lifestyle generally applies to their fertile time if they do not have, wish to have a child. However, it's there all the time also, because I know couples who also try to do this as one of their spiritual exercises. So couples may have different reasons to do what they want to do. However, sex must never be weaponized or used as a ransom nor punishment. I think that has been mentioned, either by the man or by the woman, but we know generally it's the women who do that. But like I said, also they have very strong reasons. They have, but it's not there's no proper reason to weaponize what God has given them as a gift. There are problems for both couples. These problems, some are real, some are imagined. For the husband, for example, there is this thing of, in our culture, even a man cannot master his body. And that's what we have already said that here too, that they are domineering and their instincts. That is how they are made. Okay, you said that's how they are wired, but is it really? Or can they cultivate habits? If a man does not have intercourse, his kidneys will be blocked, or he will develop cancer of the prostate. Again, this is myth. Scientifically, there's no whatever for it. For the husband, the difficulty is real. For the man, the difficulty is real to him because he's more physically attracted to his wife when she's more feminine, kind, sweet, lovable, and the coming ovulation always makes her that way. Because they're more feminine and more attractive. Man always desires to unite with his wife physically. He's more easily aroused, but he has to learn how to also sublimate these arousal and desires to their common good. What is, their desire and their plan. And for the wife, should she always say yes to her husband? In reality, the woman will be aroused sexually too during ovulation. She too will experience desire to unite with her husband. She'll have to remain kind and sweet while not pushing her husband away, which would make him feel rejected and unloved. And this is reality. Men, I don't know how to put this without sounding somehow. Men, when it comes to these things, men have the mentality of children. They can easily misunderstand things. The man can easily feel rejected and unloved by the wife. And the wife does not mean that at all. At all. So it's important to help them, to communicate, for husband and wife to communicate these things and discuss among themselves. Sexual relationship is an act of love, a way to love and express one's love for his or her spouse. It is a total encounter between two people, an exchange of themselves. Each one gives, receives from the other. It is time for fun also, a time that rekindles and revives the fire of love. And like Sister Cornelia had mentioned earlier, it's not a time to bring out selfishness, not a time to be thinking about myself alone. It's about we together. And the thing is that, and this is very, very true, both man and woman can master their bodies, that can cultivate sexual continence, can become self-masters in their sexual life, both man and woman. Yes, men are wired somehow, but yes, they can master their bodies. What is important is to remember that the brain has a direct influence on the functioning of our sexual organs during sexual arousal. The control of the will may increase or stop the emotion that put the mechanism of the genitals organs in motion. So man and woman are the masters of all their own actions. This is where our spiritual being comes in, our intellect, our upper side. They are superior to animals because they can dominate all their instincts, the urge to drink, to eat, as well as their sexual actions. Man does not unite with his wife because he wants to exercise his sexual organ. No, it's a relationship, an act of which the husband and the wife express their love, a total encounter between the two persons, heart, mind, and body. It's an exchange where everyone gives and everyone receives. It's the highlight of love, an exceptional moment of communion that revitalizes their married love. So it is important to remember, for the couples, to remember this. That they have the capacity of being master of their emotions, actions. Man can give them directions, that is his emotions and his actions. We already said that about integrating. This is really about integration. It's important that they keep in mind, the purpose of their physical union is not just to exercise sexual organs. These are some of the questions they can ask themselves and reflect. Is the goal to get closer, to unite, to make one flesh, as we read in Genesis 2:24, building an intimacy between them where others are excluded? Could it also be a marital intimacy in itself, nourishing their couple relationship? Maybe it can be to increase their love in both self-giving, meeting the needs of one another, meeting the needs of one another, again, meeting the needs of one another, not to please oneself, but each to please the other. It should also include the desire to give birth to children, giving the best of themselves to their children. We also be taking time to relax together, leading to pleasure in order to be able to face the challenges of everyday chores and challenges of married life. I think this is the point that was difficult for the church in the early days, to recognize marriage as a sacrament. But thank God that was all sorted out. Consider also their desire to live all dimensions of their being and their marriage fully in accord with the will of God, who created us as persons with intelligence and reason, his image and likeness. This means we are created with the ability to choose to grow in our being, to become beings of communion, able to unite and give life, as God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit enables us to procreate, while respecting our finitude and limitations. Creatures are not creator. We humbly serve the Creator, welcoming life, conforming our wills to God's will, which binds in us true love, the grace and gift of creation. These are considerations for the couple. They should also pray to be in conformity with God's will. We must pray to the Lord always for the grace to have his will present in our hearts and minds. We need the grace that is in our human consciousness now. We need the grace to humbly accept his will by acting to translate our attachment to his person and to his plan. We attain this by respecting with simplicity the times he gives us to live our sexuality, phases of proximity, and this is marriage, a burning fire of attraction and love, and also phases of desert, where we favor prayer time, direct encounter with him, his grace and mercy to live according to his holy will. I feel that these are some of the things we need to help couples understand and begin to live. There are two possibilities of living sexual continence or chastity. Lived in a positive way, the relationship between the couple will grow from strength to strength. Marriage will be happy, family will be strong and peaceful, leading to a just and progressive society. However, lived wrongly, the period of continence will bring out all kinds of difficulties that will threaten the unity of the spouses and the stability of their marriage, with disastrous effects on the family and the society. Again, this is real. We're seeing it every day. I have here some keys to living couple togetherness, that is, living sexual continence positively. The couple is happy who respect the mechanism of fertility. And now we're talking about women and their whatever in terms of sexual intercourse. Now, my experience of, listening to women, especially women who are practicing natural family planning, they feel that their husband, when he understands their cycle, their fertility cycle, their menstrual cycle, that the husbands, they have a new way of looking at their wives with love, with respect, and, just admiring God for the creature he has given them. And that helps them to feel loved, to feel respected, to feel that they are, spouses, partners, instead of just furniture in the house to be used. The hormones in the woman also, makes her, like those of us who are into natural family planning, we know that, for example, the hormone estrogen makes the woman more feminine, more attractive, good, and all that. And if her husband respects that and just treats her that way, it helps her. It also helps the woman herself to begin to love and respect her husband and value him. So these are realities that people need to know. In fact, I have a couple of points there, a number of points there. I'm not going to read all of them, because of time. You can look at them when you have these things, and you're going to get them hopefully tonight. Sexual intercourse is an amazing gift couple possesses to love and to strengthen love. This period of continence forces couple to find other ways, non-genital ways to love and to maintain their relationship. And there are so many of those ways. The gestures of tenderness, sharing. This sharing can be sharing even in the house chores, the husband helping in the house chores. A woman once shared, that time her husband was alive, her husband is dead now, but they had a beautiful marriage. She once shared, that in her house, even though, they do things together, but one of the things that the husband does that really does something to her was actually washing her undies. Husband washes her undies. So there are so many ways couples can show love to each other. Just get to know your husband or your wife. You know what their personal whatever is. And, as mutual aid are very important and useful nourishment for their relationship. By strengthening these gestures during continence, the couple's relationship will emerge enhanced and stronger. Also, they are encouraged during the time of, when they are not into continence, that they should also make the most of it, enjoy themselves. And that takes them through when they have to leave continence. The woman must learn on her part to trust her husband and not live in fear of him raping her or his infidelity. I know so many African men do not believe there's rape in marriage, but there is rape in marriage. If you have sex, force a woman to have a sex with you against her will, her wish, it's rape. And many women are afraid if they don't give in, their husband will go out or rape them anyway. So if the relationship is good, the woman feels respected and, loved by her husband, that will remove all that fear. Yeah, the thing about attitudes of gentleness, tenderness, honesty, truth, goodness, and beauty, forbearance, and patience with spouse and children, the caring presence of and for one another is a wonderful way of living together. Like I said, there's a lot of these. To acquire self-sexual mastery or chastity is a journey with the help of God in prayers and in faith. For a couple choosing natural family planning, they will both learn to work together and help each other grow from being two to closer unity of becoming one. They should keep in mind always that God's forgiveness and mercy are always close at hand, lifting them whenever they stumble, because it's also a possibility. That's why we say forgiveness must be there. What exactly happens? This is one of the things that I have discovered that helps men to understand and to begin to have a rethink about what society and what culture has, kind of put in their heads about themselves. This scientifically, what really happens when a man has sexual arousal? They say knowledge is power. Sexual desire is stimulated through the sense of sight, smell, thoughts, even hearing. Some men, perfume. This stimulation will create in the man an automatic reflex as follows. Blood will be directed to the penis, which causes erection. The sphincters below the bladder will close. The seminal vesicle will start producing fluid. The prostate gland will produce fluid. The Cowper's gland will also produce fluid. And by the time all these fluids are produced and they're going to the penis, then what we call erection is taking place. For those who We may not know this is the male sexual organ, and all those things we mentioned, they are here. So at this stage of arousal, there's physical, sensory, and emotional cues from the brain. The brain releases a neurotransmitter known as acetylcholine. This in turn triggers the release of nitric acid into the arteries of the penis, causing them to expand and rapidly fill with blood. And this is the result. You can see an erection and non-erection. So for the man, it is real. It is how is he going to manage it? The sexual urge. Our biological sexual drive is extremely powerful. It is ingrained into our bodies. It is how the human species procreates and propagates itself. St. John Paul II described this drive as a sexual urge. Yet, he said, as human persons, we are not just biological creatures defined by our biological urges. Rather, we are also spiritual and relational creatures. An integrity of body, mind, and spirit. In this context, St. John Paul draws a clear distinction between human beings and animals. And this is where I said, even though we say biologically the man is wired this way, but man is not just biophysical, you know? We are more than that. It's a question of knowing it and believing it and practicing it. Remember, testosterone affects every part of a man's body, including the brain. Someone once said the brain is the most important sexual organ. A man's sexual response usually originates in the brain. Again, we put St. John Paul II there. If the urge is acted on, then the sexual response goes through the following stages: excitement, plateau, orgasm, and resolution. However, there's something here about orgasm, which I think we all know. However, it doesn't have to go through. Note, sexual excitement and arousal originate in the brain. In visual and imagined images, men in general are aroused much quicker and to a greater degree by this physical and visual stimulation. That is why pornography is such an addictive behavior. It feeds the brain with sexual images that in turn leads to arousal and culminates in release of neurochemicals into the pleasure centers of the brain. So if a man has all this knowledge, he would watch himself. Man has to take decision if he will have a sexual relation or not. But this is important to understand the true sense of sexual relation, which we have mentioned so many times here. That it's supposed to be total giving of themselves to each other. And this is another thing that I like couples to note. When we're talking of this sexual intimacy, it's not just something you do, you know, just a few moments and then that's it. It's very personal and happens at various levels: mental, emotional, physical. It involves the whole person and at all times. It's kind of a reflection of their marriage intention, marriage vow. It completely involves them in their mind, heart, will, intellect, and at the peak, their bodies. Yes, we are different from animals. At creation, we are endowed with the capacity to control our acts, the capacity to reflect reason and make choices that are life-giving. Man with consciousness and lives with consciousness and is able to make choices, whereas animals are creatures of instinct. Man is master of his instinct. So if we keep saying a man is wired this way, it means we are really equating a man to an animal, that can act instinctively. But we need to help them understand, yes, you are wired this way, yes, but that's only biological. You are much more than your biology. So if he decides not to have sexual intercourse, all the fluid produced will be reabsorbed, blood will flow back, and erection will come down. End of the erection and end of story. So he doesn't have to act it out. It's important to help them understand this. I have this, just an illustration that we are different from animals. Biologically, we are wired the same way, yes, but we have something more than an animal. Our intellect, our will, our freedom to choose. Animals don't have that. So that wiring thing is not the end of the story. We are wired like all other animals, but we are higher beings. We are creatures made in the image of God, redeemed by Christ. We have the capacity for self-determination. We can make choices about the ordering of all aspects of our lives, including especially our sexual urge. In fact, one of the great tasks of being an integrated human person is that we order our sexual urge into the totality of being human. This requires virtue and especially sexual virtue or chastity. And chastity is for all human beings, all persons, celibate or married. Chastity is for all of us. Yeah, okay. If the couple decides to have sex, we know what happens. And it should be mutual pleasure for both of them, not just the man. I know you have seen this before, and I'm not going to waste time on this, but it's important for both to understand, each other. To have real sexual intimacy, they must understand the perspective of one another and communicate. Now, in that thing, we talk about evaluation. Evaluation for what purpose? Somehow this is new to couples when you're talking with them. But this is important that they evaluate, even though the man falls asleep immediately, but whenever he wakes up, they can evaluate. The purpose of evaluation is always to identify areas of good performance, strength, and appreciate one another. And also identify areas of poor performance, weakness, analyze, for example, causes and effects, and with honesty, humility, plan together steps for improvement. We can all learn from our mistakes. That is also what makes us human. We are not perfect. In summary, the capacity of the will to know, to love, and to act is what differentiates us from animals. Man has this capacity, and if he decides not to have sexual relation, all the fluids go back. And the thing about it is, the more he makes this choice, the less the arousals and erections. That's another thing people have confessed, The more, once they learn this, begin to make it a habit, learn how to allow this emotion to pass through, and all the fluid will go back. This repeated action will help them to begin to develop sexual continence. That is the virtuous habit of sexual continence or chastity. Just repeated action. In the church, we hear of the avoiding the near occasion of sin. And it's a very good teaching. We speak of the near occasion of sin and avoiding temptation. In fact, it is very good, very wise. Once excitement and arousal have been let out of the gate, it is much more difficult to stop an addictive or sinful behavior. Perhaps an analogy can be made to alcohol addiction. Once a person has had one or two drinks, opening the gate, his or her brain becomes disengaged and the person continues to drink. So it's important for a man and a woman to identify what can be their near occasion of sin for them and avoid it. It's a wise thing. This is just illustrating. We are wise to avoid the near occasion of sin. If you see something that is written poison, especially if it's even something that one can breathe, I'm sure you run away far from that thing. No matter what is attracting you to the place, you will not want to go there. So we briefly look at chastity. Chastity, the word in the New Testament that expresses the capacity for men and women to control their sexual desires. It helps them to honor God and to honor one another. As we know, nothing unchaste will go to heaven. Chastity, in short, is the ordered expression of love. Ordered expression of love. Chastity is ordering our sexual urge to higher powers within the person. We order our sexual or genital urge to our reason, our rational powers of the brain. We order our sexual or genital urge to the wisdom of God expressed in scripture and the teaching of the church. We order our sexual or genital urge to true love of persons. We must always love and never use another human being or our own bodies. Never use, like I said before, the opposite of love is not hate, it's use. How does this ordered expression of love play out in real life? Consider this example. You are a young man, married or unmarried, seminarian or priest, and you meet a young woman in the course of your work or ministry to whom you are very attracted to, and this is very common, and even sexually aroused by. What do you say in your heart, in your interior being? Oh, she's a beautiful, bright woman, and I'm very attracted to her. God bless her, and let me treat her with respect and help her in ways that are appropriate, dignified, and loving. Or do you say to yourself, she's a beautiful, bright woman, I am very attracted to her, I am going to let my attraction and arousal, which seems so powerful, continue into a sexual encounter with her. That means I use her. Even though she's not my wife, no one will know. And isn't this what's going on in some of the offices? So, in this scenario, what have we done? It is a typical example of love versus use. You see in this example, the forces at work. There's a sexual urge. What is to be done with it? Will it be allowed to unfold and ultimately use another person and violate my chastity? Or will the sexual urge be controlled by higher powers that ultimately express true love, a love that cares about all persons, about other persons? Chastity is a positive virtue. Being a virtuous person, living our lives with an ordered expression of love is not easy. Our culture seems to even demean chastity as somehow repressing sexual desire. Nothing is further from the truth. Chastity is a positive virtue that allows human persons to truly love. It's not a repression of sexual desire. As said by John Paul II, the human person is a being for whom the only suitable dimension is love. Love is better than sex. Remember that. And sex has its true place in marriage when it is ordered properly in love. Yes. Love is much, much bigger than sex. We encourage everyone, couples, and everyone to have recourse to prayer as well. We should not have illusions about the depths of human wickedness and human weakness when man is left to his own resources. So prayer and the sacraments, as well as rootedness in Christ and recourse to our Mother Mary and our patron saints, are non-negotiables in cultivating and living continence and chastity in whatever state of life. There are examples there of highly placed people, even in the church, who fell to the weakness. Some consequences of unchaste life. Not controlling our bodies in holiness and honor means living unholy life with all its consequences. To me, leading double life, cheating with all its mental and physical health implications, bad example for the children and young people around us, and many other consequences. This is just an illustration of the consequences of cheating.
It seems that sister is having network issues.
Okay.
Let's be a bit patient.
Network is really dealing with us today.
Yeah, we're almost there. Let's be a bit patient.
Cecilia, who is that? What time is the mass tomorrow?
Okay, 6.
Yeah,
6 a.m.
Yes.
At the church?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm attending classes. So,
okay, I just called sister. Definitely she's having network issues, so she will log in with her phone without the slides. Then we conclude. The program is going to end by 9 p.m., so we have 15 minutes to conclude. Today's program is getting long because sister is combining the one of yesterday and the one of today. What network didn't allow her to cover yesterday? Okay, friends, so as we wait for sister to join, she will definitely join now. Let us briefly look at what we are talking about yesterday concerning the group. The group. We concluded that the group will remain the way it is. We are not
Hello?
going to. Okay, sister, welcome back. Welcome. You can begin. Thank you. Sister, are you there? Sr Kelechi?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, sorry about that too. I don't know where I stopped. I was showing something about cheating. I don't know whether you saw that.
Yes, sister, we saw it.
Okay. So we are just saying that cheating deceives the cheater as much as others. It increases fear and cowardice. It impedes personal growth. And nobody really gains anything from cheating, especially, well, anywhere, but especially in marriage. It's also, there are sometimes when men are cheating, they think their children are not seeing them, but children are seen. It's a horrible example for children to undermine ambition and a good name. There's also, well, Father, you can also be showing this yourself anyway, because there are just few slides left. The multiple partnership. So what I really have here is just encouraging people. It says to be great is to be chaste, to be in control of one's sexual urge and personhood, in order to love others as Christ loved us. To love, to be holy, to be chaste, to be fully human is what you are created for, man or woman, all of us. That's what we are created for. So let's go for it. There is a saying here from Saint Joseph Maria Escriva. He says, for everyone, whatever his state, single, married, widowed. Okay, you're showing the thing here. Yeah, just keep going. Keep going to the end. I don't even know which number. Yes, go for it. People can read that. Okay, this is where I am. So for everyone, whatever his state, single, married, widowed, or priest, chastity is a triumphant affirmation of love. And God gives us the grace to live it, whether we are man or woman. So all I'm trying to say is that, yes, men are wired in some way like animals. All of us, in fact, human beings, not just men. But we are higher beings and we are called to chastity. Animals are not called to chastity. So, thank you and may God bless you. That's the slides done. Now we can have, I don't know how many minutes we have for discussion or for questions or for clarification, for comments, for anything.
We have 10 minutes left.
Okay, good. Father, I just put that slide in case, people want to have a pattern of, to organize classes. That is just an example of something I did, still trying to do. So it's not part of the class, just for advantage, those who may need it. The slide you're showing there.
It can be helpful. It can be helpful.
Yes, that's why I put it. It can be helpful to people. And if they see it and if there's any question, it's very clear and straightforward. It's one of the things I use. If there's any question, they can always reach out to me for questions on that. But for the discussion we have had since yesterday, If there's anything still burning that somebody wants to raise, please, this is the time.
Okay, Sister Anastasia.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Kelechi, for the detailed presentation of sexual love and sexuality. But sorry I came late, but I'm able to participate where what appeals to me is where the sexual continence. And in discussing that, I see yesterday you did clarify that sexual relation is way beyond genital contact or genital relationship. Mm-hmm. But today, I see you using it almost interchangeable. You know, the sexual contact which seems to be more of genital contact. But I think if we can do more teaching of the sexual contact, which goes beyond genital contact, though including genital contact, it could help people, married people, realize that their relationship has to do with what we call spice, where you look at the spiritual, the physical, the intellectual, communication, and emotional. So if they have this bonding that they engage in when they are together, not just thinking if they have to have sexual relationship, it must end up with genital contact. I think that's where the stress comes from. But if they learn to have a bonding, emotional bonding that, you know, they can be together, they can watch film together, they can pray, even holding hands and saying their rosary together. And when one of them is in need, they're more engaged in that than their genital contact. You discover that it becomes less stressful and demanding for them. They realize that they can engage and bond stronger without every time if it's not genital, we have not related. Holding hands, sharing conversation, this one, we know we can maybe teach more of it to the people. Because that's what when we are doing creating model fertility care, we try to teach more of the spice so that people devote their time on that also. And that helps enrich their relationship more than quarreling over, oh, there was no genital contact. Meanwhile, there was sexual contact.
Thank you very much, my boss. Sorry. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you. I enjoyed your presentation.
My boss. You are right. You're very, very right. Yesterday, my emphasis was on human sexuality. Today, we came down to, remember what I was discussing in that continent is kind of, we said, the primary remedies for all the sexual wahala people have. And we're focusing on marital sex, you know, in marriage. So that is why it's more kind of, it looked like, but remember, I also did emphasize that love is more than sex. You cannot even equate sex to love. Love is much more than that. And that it's not about just the bodily union, that, you know, it's encounter, total encounter, body, soul, and spirit. And not just about emotions they have. In fact, if you looked at when you go through, like what you have mentioned, holding hands and all that, I was reading out some of the ways they can relate non-sexual, but I didn't read everything because I felt it to be taking time since you're going to get the slides. So it's there. You're quite right. You're quite right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sister.
I think there's a hand. I don't know who the hand is. What?
Eugenia,
Yes.
excel.
Yes, sister. Yes, Father. Thank you. I have a question and a comment. Well, number one question about, when we're talking about the relationship and everything, we're focusing on those that the ruin of relation, this happens, that happens. What of those that have entered menopause? What happens? How does it affect their sexuality, and how does it now affect their relationship in marriage? That's number one question. And then number two, like sister has mentioned, we talked about communication in marriage towards the continents. A lot of non-verbal would help. A lot of non-verbal communication cues that will help both couples. But my concern is, how does menopause help? Because many couples enter menopause in their marriage, and these are part of, we're talking about the married class, not only for those preparing for marriage, but what of those already in marriage? What of the elderly in marriage? Because all of these affect the sexuality thing we're talking about. So those are the questions I have to ask. How does menopause affect the estrogen, the progesterone, and all of that? Because for the woman, she may not want to do it anymore, but for the man, how does it affect them? So that's a discussion I'd like you to take on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We mentioned something. It's again to do with communication. Each one communicating what their needs are, and like we said, where there is love, love is the decision to choose to do something for the well-being of another person. Definitely for a woman in menopause, they are not into sex. But also we keep saying that love is bigger than sex. There are so many non-sexual ways they can relate. However, while the husband still wants to relate sexually, it's still possible. I mean, it now depends. When we say menopause, what age? Like if the woman is really, really old and having arthritis and all that, it may be difficult. It may be, in fact, unjust for the husband to be expecting that from her. But if it's just a question of menopause, the dryness that follows menopause because of the stoppage of the hormones, there are remedies. There are remedies, There are remedies for that. But it must be understood. The woman must be helped to understand that if she can manage it, is to help her husband. And the husband must also know that this is not really what the wife was, so that it's not going to be an everyday kind of affair. I have seen couples, including my own parents. I mean, we are 10 in number. I'm the eldest of 10 children. So you can imagine that obviously they did enjoy their sex. But also, I know they lived into their 80s and 90s. They wouldn't be having sex at that point. So if they have had a good sexual relationship, actually, during their active time, when it comes to this old age, menopause and all that, like I said, if the woman can physically bear it, the dryness is not a problem. There are, what do you call those things? Ointments and things, creams and things that they prescribe. And like I said, also,
Lubricants.
yes, lubricants, Father, thank you very much. There are lubricants that can be recommended. But the important thing is that this couple are helped to understand what love really is, and that they started living it long before menopause came in. And once that is in place, they know how to negotiate. Like I said, I've seen a number of couples, many of them, many, 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 in their old age, who are still having very happy lives. And there are non-genital ways of relating. There are many non-genital, like for example, my father used to join my mother in the kitchen. My father couldn't cook anything. Maybe boil an egg, maybe he can, but I don't think he could. But he would join her in the kitchen and they would have conversation, they would tell stories, they would laugh, they would go to mass together. And we encourage that people go to have an intention, go to communion together, sit together at mass. There's no question of this one sits on this and this one sits on that side. So, there are so many ways, but each couple is unique and they need to find and maybe they need to be helped to find. If they come to you like for counseling, you need to go into their lives and see what they do ordinarily on an everyday basis, and see what gives them that kind of pleasure, or what gives them satisfaction. Like it said, sex is not everything. But where a woman is still physically okay and the problem is just menopause, dryness, it has resolution.
Okay, thank you, sister. I asked from a personal point of view because, like, before 50, due to ailment and everything, I became menopausal, and I know the challenges we had. So it's for discussion for when the discussion gets broadened. And when I got into it, I had a couple of ladies who also before 50 got into menopause. So, and then this discussion just, we believe menopause is like for elderly, but there are people, young people, who are menopausal even before 50. So I think that's why these discussions are important. I got there myself, and I know the challenges, and like you said, discussions and everything, and it has helped. Yeah. So menopause is not only, many young people get into it, fluke of nature and all of that. And then health matters. Yeah. Thank you, sister.
Our time is up, but I can see someone someone sent a message that can she share? Rosemary Nduagoba, you can share now.
Okay, good evening, Father.
Good evening.
Like sister said, the thing about menopause and sexual relationship is how both of you, how you tried when you were younger. If you had built your relationship in such a way that communication, you understand each other, you talk about things. As the woman is getting to menopause, of course, the man too is getting, not physically or biologically, but the two of you, because you are both couples, you understand when your biological system have changed. There is nothing too different from your normal life as a younger person and that menopause. I've been for 57 years plus, I've entered menopause, but I don't think we have any difference or something has dropped. We may not be that vibrant as a younger person, but the fact remains that at this age, the urge may not be so much on the woman. The man still have his own urge as when he was a younger person. But now you as a woman that is now in menopause, now have to bring yourself up to meet him up. And this is where that patience, that care, taking time to talk about it, not just the action immediately. You take time and he knows that it is not that time that the action takes place immediately now. Now he has to take time, talk about it, foreplay and all that before getting into that. And with that, there won't be any problem. Thank you, sister.
Thank you, Sister Cornelia. Sister Cornelia, you can speak. I know it will not be fair if you don't speak on this topic. Sister Cornelia, unmute yourself. Sister, are you there? Sister Cornelia Udoka.
Okay, yes. I think the last speaker has touched on what I wanted to say, a part of what I wanted to say. And I think Sister Kelechi touched on it. I think people who have grown with natural family planning, they already kind of prepare themselves for that menopause part of it. I was listening to a couple once who are in their 60s, almost 70s, and the man was sharing how he's still making love with the wife as if they were in their 30s and their 40s, because that man is a, what you call it, a NFP instructor. It sometimes when we are giving talks to couples and they say, oh, I've passed that age, I'm not in the young age, but it helps people in their premenopause and their menopause. it kind of prepared because they are used to kind of communicating their sexual language to each other. They are kind of used to preparing themselves to enter into that special relationship. Because of that, when it comes to premenopause and menopause, they don't have a problem because what we teach them in natural family planning, as Sister Kelechi mentioned, it is all part of this communication and preparation so that when it comes to that stage, they don't have problems. So we are encouraging people, even if they are finished delivering children, please to find time to join classes of NFP because it's not for achieving pregnancy, it's not for avoiding pregnancy, but in also helping them to live properly as husband and wife till their old age. Thank you, Father.
Thank you,
for giving me
sister.
the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rosemary, you were raising hand before. Have you changed your mind? Our sister Rosemary, joining from the US. Is she still there? Okay, so with this, we come to the end of our program. Thank you, Sister Kelechi. Please, friends, let us appreciate Sister Kelechi by sending favorite emojis,